Two screams split the quiet of a Brisbane morning. One for help, and one for three children who would never answer again. By the time the flames died down, a family of four was gone, and the truth was more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. Brisbane woke to sunshine on February 19th, 2020. School bags were packed. Coffee was brewing. The world felt routine, predictable. Hannah Clark buckled her three children into the back seat of her car just after 7 a.m., preparing for the school drop-off like she had done countless times before. Minutes later, neighbors would hear her screaming words no parent should ever have to shout. "Call the police. He's going to kill me." A man washing his car looked up to see flames swallowing metal. A passing driver saw a mother stumble from a burning vehicle, her skin igniting beneath the morning light. Another neighbor ran toward the inferno with a fire extinguisher, unaware the car would soon explode into a fireball. Beside Hannah stood Rowan Baxter, holding jerry cans of fuel. This wasn't a crash. It wasn't an accident. It was the final act of a nightmare that had been building for years. And to understand how it reached this moment, you have to go back to where the story truly began. Hannah Clark was born on September 8th, 1988, in Brisbane, Australia. From childhood, she radiated warmth. Teachers described her as energetic and magnetic, someone who could command attention not by force, but by kindness. She excelled in trampoline gymnastics, representing her state by 16. In her final year of school, she was chosen as school captain, a role given to students trusted and admired by their peers. But more than trophies or titles, Hannah dreamed of being a mother. She adored children and later taught gymnastics at the Police Citizens Youth Club, mentoring young athletes with patience and care. It was there, at 20 years old, that she met Rowan Baxter. He was 31, charismatic, confident, a former rugby league player who carried himself like someone used to attention. He had a son from a previous marriage and spoke of his past like it was already behind him. What Hannah didn't fully see, what few people outside his family truly understood, was the volatility beneath the surface. Rowan's childhood had been marked by instability. Relatives remembered a streak of cruelty, a need for dominance, a temper that simmered just beneath the skin. He had married young before, at 18, and that marriage had collapsed under the weight of control and intimidation. There had been threats, stalking, dark confessions about harming himself and his child. But to Hannah, he presented himself as misunderstood, reformed, ready for a fresh start. And within months of meeting, their lives became intertwined in ways that would prove impossible to undo. Rowan pursued Hannah while still legally married, insisting his relationship was over. He painted himself as trapped, staying only for his son's stability. Eventually, he left his wife and formalized the separation. 6 months into their relationship, Hannah discovered she was pregnant. Rowan pressured her to terminate the pregnancy, arguing she was too young, that it wasn't the right time. But Hannah held firm. In October 2012, they married while she was 14 weeks pregnant. Their daughter Aaliyah was born in April 2013, a bright, perceptive child who loved reading and already seemed to sense when tension filled a room. 2 years later came Lyanna, gentle and calming, often trying to soothe her father during his outbursts. Then in 2016, Trey was born, deeply attached to his mother. On the surface, they were a fit, photogenic family. They opened a gym together in 2015 called Integrate Gym, funded in part by Hannah's parents. But behind closed doors, Rowan's need for control intensified. He insisted on sharing a joint Facebook account so Hannah couldn't communicate independently. He isolated her from family. If the children didn't clean fast enough, he threw their toys away. He canceled their activities to punish her. He secretly recorded conversations. He demanded intimacy nightly, degrading her if she refused. Once, during an argument, he smashed her watch in rage and stormed out, later claiming he had considered ending his life in a church parking lot. The threats, subtle at first, grew darker. Hannah began to live in a constant state of tension, and still, she tried to hold the family together until the fear became impossible to ignore. By late 2019, Hannah reached out to a family violence resource center. She believed Rowan was tracking her movements. She formed an escape plan quietly, leaving her phone behind one day so he couldn't trace her. In December, she fled with the children to her parents' home. Rowan responded with manipulation and escalation. He alternated between tears and threats, portraying himself as the victim. He appeared unannounced at her parents' house. He refused to return the children during custody exchanges. On December 26th, he drove off with Lyanna, prompting police involvement. A domestic violence order was eventually placed against him, forbidding him from approaching Hannah or the children. Yet even as legal barriers went up, his behavior grew more erratic. He bought zip ties, a jerry can, denatured alcohol. He filled the container with gasoline. He purchased Kinder Surprise eggs and lollipops. He contacted counseling services, attended sessions, spoke about jealousy and depression, but no formal risk assessment was conducted. Hannah confided in her mother that she feared he might kill her. She told a friend she believed he might harm the children. On February 18th, during a scheduled FaceTime call, Rowan sat in silence, crying. Something in his demeanor chilled Hannah to her core. The next morning, February 19th, began like any other. Sue Clark watched her daughter drive away with the children, unaware it would be the last time she saw them alive. Moments later, Rowan leapt into the passenger seat of Hannah's car, holding a jerry can filled with petrol, demanding she drive. She stopped near a man washing his car and screamed for help. Rowan pinned her down. Fuel had already been poured. On Hannah. On the children. Flames erupted. The man tried to extinguish the fire as Hannah stumbled out, burning. Another bystander, Samantha, grabbed the hose. Carrie Fernandez ran forward with a fire extinguisher as the car exploded into a fireball. Investigators later discovered Rowan had positioned the fuel containers directly in front of Aaliyah's seat. Each child was doused. As chaos unfolded, Rowan dove back into the burning vehicle, not to save them, but to retrieve a knife. In full view of horrified witnesses, he placed it against his chest and threw himself onto it. He died there, on the pavement, as the car continued to burn. Hannah suffered catastrophic burns over most of her body. Even as paramedics fought to stabilize her, she asked only one question. "Are my kids okay?" She tried to call her father. When Lloyd Clark answered, he heard silence and assumed it was accidental. It was Hannah, unable to speak, making one final attempt to reach him. She died at 4:50 p.m. that afternoon. The children had already perished in the flames. Autopsy results revealed the horrifying truth. Aaliyah had burns over her entire body and had still been alive when the fire overtook her. Leanna and Trey suffered the same devastating fate. Rowan had no drugs or alcohol in his system. No brain abnormalities. The act was deliberate. On his phone, investigators found a note. "I'm finishing your game. I don't want to play anymore." On March 9th, 2020, Hannah and her 3 children were buried together in a single coffin. Australia grieved and raged. The tragedy ignited national conversations about coercive control, about how psychological abuse can escalate into lethal violence when warning signs are dismissed or underestimated. Hannah's brother stood at the funeral and said words that shattered hearts across the country. "I am so sorry I couldn't protect you." This case is remembered not only for its brutality, but for the years of warning signs that preceded it, the control, the stalking, the threats disguised as despair. A sunny Brisbane morning became a crime scene that would haunt a nation. And the most heartbreaking truth of all is this: Hannah saw the danger coming. She asked for help. She tried to protect her children. But sometimes, even when the signs are clear, the system moves too slowly, and by the time the flames rise, it's already too late.